Starting a new book. This one is Getting Things Done: The Art of Stress-Free Productivity by David Allen. Now, I've actually shown this book a couple times on this channel before, and I'll link to those videos in the description down below just for your reference. But this is a book I'm reading this year for my professional development goals. So at my school, we have to set professional development goals every year and meet with our manager to discuss them. And perhaps some of you other nerds on BookTube can identify with this, but whenever I need to learn something, my first go-to is, all right, what books do I read? So my professional development goals this year have included two books: How to Teach Listening and Getting Things Done. How to Teach Listening, I just finished off just now, and in fact, I just posted a review to this channel, and if you missed it, I'll include a link in the description down below, but this one is now done, and so on to this one next. Now, I work as an English teacher, hence the How to Teach Listening book. But I was talking with my manager about the difficulties I was having multitasking and managing a lot of different demands on my time. And she said, well, you can include that as a work goal if you want. She said you're allowed one work goal related to things like personal productivity or something like that. And then she sent me an example of how to format that work goal and an example of steps I could take. And included was this book, which she actually, I believe she was just taking that from a generic thing on the company template, where this book had just been included as a generic book for productivity. But not realizing that, I actually looked this book up in the school library, and you can see here it's a library book. The school did have it, so I went to the library, checked it out, and said, "Yeah, I've got it now." Despite this being recommended by accident, as it were, it looks like it could be a useful book. I don't know. You guys know as well as I do how these self-help books go. Sometimes they're helpful and sometimes they're not, but I'm gonna give this a go. Now, I suppose by admitting that I've got a need for a book like this, I'm perhaps admitting a weakness in myself. My mother always tells me, she says, don't talk about your bad points on the internet. You never know when a future employer could be watching. I mean, I'm not currently looking for jobs at the moment. I'm happy where I am, but if this video stays online in 10 years, I mean, you never know, right? So if there is any future employers watching, I would like to say that I am generally a hard worker. If I'm going to admit to a weak point, it's going to be multitasking. So, if I go into work and I've got one thing to do, I can do that fairly well. But in today's work environment, who has just one thing to do? You've got lots of stuff to do. As I've gone up through the ranks, I'm now a senior teacher at my school and have more responsibilities. Not to mention all the stresses that deal with living abroad. Those of you who live abroad will know exactly what I mean in terms of navigating the bureaucracy for visas and work permits and health checks. And then it just gets more complicated once you get married and have children, filing your taxes in the US, filing your taxes in Vietnam, sorting out healthcare and everything, just kind of all those daily life type things, which I have trouble remembering, organizing, and prioritizing. I tend to want to just go to work, say, right, what's my task for today? I'm going to work on it. Um, and just kind of managing multitasking better um, is going to be my goal, and we'll see. We'll see how much this book helps me. I will say I've just barely started it here. I'm through the welcome and I'm through the first couple pages now. And I will say, just kind of reading about productivity does make you want to be more productive. So as I'm kind of reading this, I'm kind of thinking, right, I'm in an organizational mood. I'm going to get things done. Although, just flipping through this book, it does, Here we go. Be careful of the purge and organize bug. This is just something I found while flipping through the book, but this is me completely, huh? Many people get hit with the purge and organize virus as they're going through various areas of their office and home. That happens to you is okay so long as you have a major window of time open to get through the whole process, like at least a whole week ahead of you. Otherwise, you'll need to break it up into chunks and capture them as little projects or actions. What you don't want to do is let yourself get caught running down a rabbit hole, cleaning up some piece of work, and then not be able to get through the whole action management implementation process. It takes longer than you think. This is me completely. This is a mistake I've made in the past, thinking, okay, I'm just going to stop everything until I purge and organize everything in my workspace, and then then it takes longer than you think, and you get behind on everything else in your life. I just mentioned that as a useful piece of advice that I was impressed by flipping through the book. Who knows how useful the rest of it will be. But this is me. This is going to be a little bit broccoli. This is not pleasure reading. So these two are my broccoli readings for this year. I'm a slow enough reader that I don't want to overload myself with broccoli reading, duty reading. After this, I'm going to try and take a break and read some junk, some sort of pure enjoyment, YA fantasy or something like that. But one more professional development reading to get through. And I'll report back on this in the weekly reading vlogs, and then I'll come back with a review to let you know whether or not I did find this useful or not.